It was mainly that big old demon guy on the top side of the map becoming a bit of a problem
here, just to prevent another
Alistair
situation.
Aatrox, that's what I want. Not Azir.
No,
I feel like Azir would be...
Oh, if they pick Renata as well, I'm going to be so sad.
I mean, honestly, I think the Karma was fine. Just don't teleport like that at the end of the game.
That's not who Execute is. The Karma was really an underrated part of why the Fear-X composition worked. Like, I know that the win rate isn't great, but it had an incredible amount of prio. I want to, again, reiterate, Faker has been bopping people with Orianna in lane. He's been building really large leads, and the lane was even.
Yeah, and this is a better matchup. Yeah, that's... I don't know whether this necessarily bodes well.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I don't want to see this man on Renata. He's just not a Renata player.
No.
That Renata play, that was the outcry of a man who wants to engage.
Yeah.
Please listen. Let him listen to his heart's cry.
I don't know. Like, if
losing.
Yeah, if he was playing like Nautilus or Blitzcrank, it would also have been just as bad.
Might have been a little bit better.
Maybe? Really?
Yeah.
I feel like you'd bring the Aatrox even closer to your Callisto.
Yeah, okay, but maybe then you have the CC to at least lock him in place for long enough. Which they definitely don't, because you're Renata.
And you're going to need to find that, because they have locked in the Aatrox once again. If it ain't broke, do not fix it. I think the Rel as well needs to be considered as a ban, if not just to make owner happy, so he doesn't have to play it. But if you do ban the Rel, perhaps he just picks his Lee Sin and he gets to have fun today.
No fun, only Rel.
It has been working out very, very well for a lot of our players. Lucid comes to mind from yesterday's performance on his Rel as they decimated DRX.
The Jarvan ban is really interesting to me. I think it is mainly to prevent a very easy way to reliably lock down both the Orianna and the Varus. Because obviously, you can also just R4 Jarvan yourself here. Jarvan is really good with specifically the Orianna. Not going to be the case, as we do have a lot of similar matchups. But the Renata is going to get taken away, so we do know that Fear-X at the very least are not going to fall for that trap. But I also simultaneously imagine that T1 is going to R5 support again. There's no reason for them not to. They can just pick Rel or Maokai or Sejuani. Like, none of those picks are going to make owner happy, but they will work with the composition.
You could also pick Maokai and flex it if you would like to. Yeah. Actually quite like Maokai with Varus, just because you do have a lot of CC. You land the Chains of Corruption, press all of the other buttons, even yet sapling value, which is pretty cool. Rel is going to be taken away though, so not going to see that one. Is this the classic carrier Nico support? Because that has been a while.
Or Nico
He's going to lock it in. Nico jungle could also be a consideration.
We don't.
Oh, no. I'm so silly. It's obviously Orianna support.
Ah, yes.
Ah, no, it's the Aatrox support.
Yeah, you hit the
Gets me every time.
Yeah, you hit the Q1 and then you follow up with the Varus. Yeah.
The synergy there. You both build lethality, or you can. Gumishi doesn't like it as much. Okay, well, Willa is going to stick to what worked, and his Lee Sin absolutely did. And what is Execute going to be playing this time around? Janna. Just do it.
Don't do him like that. Alistair is one that we would often think about when paired with the Kalista.
Like it.
Yes, they've learned the lesson. Now the problem is, I don't know if it'll be good, because I can't imagine that playing Alistair level 1 into Kalista, or sorry, Varus and Nico early on is going to be somewhat of a nightmare.
Oh, we Ramesing?
Into Kalista?
Have we just come from the school of Pyoshik? Oh, owner is allowed to have fun.
That's too much fun.
Have fun.
There we go. Yeah,
they went back to not having as fun.
It's
more fun than Rel.
It's Nocturne Nico. It's good enough.
Yeah. This is fine. And this is also a heck of a lot of value. It means that a lot of that lockdown is still going to be there. And yeah, you don't get to do like the Magnet Storm Shockwave, but Pop Blossom Shockwave in the dark sounds pretty good to me. Champion pool is all of the champions, so I don't know. This composition from Fear-X, I think on paper looks fine. It does. But the Azir bothers me, and I don't know about the Alistair's ability to lane into this. This is the dangerous part. We'll see how it goes, though, ladies and gentlemen, as we hop onto the Rift for game number 2. Fear-X needing a win here to extend the series.
감사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, here we are. Let's see what shenanigans we're going to be in for in this game. I think an early start, like an early gank from Willa or something like that towards his bottom lane, would not be a bad idea once again. So I assume T1, oh, they do have a Nocturne, so I guess they're not going to be doing anything until it's level 6. So Willa should have run of the map for quite some time.
And early jungle tracking going to be really big. Personally do hope that T1 is able to at least know where Willer starts, go from there. I do think Nocturne is actually, especially with how strong Lethal Tempo is at the moment, actually a pretty underrated duelist early on. I just, ideally, you, as you were saying, want to just get to 6 as soon as possible. Maybe pick up an early grub, just the one. Yep, one grub to maximize your XP gain. And this is the matchup that you and I are both very, very worried about. As what? And this are we gonna flip the lane level 1?
Is the real one? Well, Execute is going to say that one is carrier. They're going to win out on the trade, at least for the moment. Getting a bit of damage down. Carrier just deciding that he wants to transform into stuff. It's been a while. And in fact, it was
God
who did it. There's a flash pulverized, though, as Gumayusi's in so much trouble. The flash forward from Henna immediately, and he's going to get first blood in the 2v2. And that is how you do it. They didn't even need Willa this time.
Execute finally gets to do what he loves. Flashing on people, level 1!
Hell yeah.
He's freed, Atlas! No, he doesn't know about the weakness of Alistair level 1. He doesn't know he's not a champion.
No. And people say that he only has one spell level 1. That is not true. He's got 2 or 3. He's got Flash, Ignite, and he's got Pulverize.
Boom!
And he still has better Flash now as well, because of course, the best players take Hex Flash. That's just how it goes. All right, that's a lot of value as Fearex already doing exactly what they need to here. Let's check this one out one more time.
Elementary, really, just in range of the Varus and knocks him up.
Presses Flash, yeah. The good old Q-Flash situation. And that is both summoner spells down as well for Gumayusi, so he's not even safe now that he comes back to the lane, especially if the Alistair is able to get control of any of these brushes. Already Henna with his Vampiric Scepter online. And this is where things, like you were talking about, should be the most worrying. But so far, so good. Only down a couple of farm. Here's the Azir. Should be okay moving forward. So Execute and Henna are going to have to deal with this wave before they do too much else. As, yep, Execute going to be pressing his Hex Flash button as many times as possible.
Oh, they do spot the Nocturne there.
Yeah, Willa going to cancel the back. And Dustbringer comes down. We're going to have to check out what's happening up here as the Fear Tether is going to be broken by Willa. Nice little snare from Kerry here as well. They do take a fair bit of damage. Speaking of damage, Close are going to have to go home. And Faker doing very much what he has done to many and Azir in the mid lane, sending them packing.
Yeah, that's probably going to be a double scuttle here for Owner. Gonna be very happy with an early start to his level 6 journey. And there isn't really a lot of ability for Willer to contest. They go in early there, and even though he didn't get feared, still took a decent amount of damage in his bot lane. Even with the early kill, wasn't able to then turn that into priority, which makes sense. And that means that, combined with the fact that mid and top are not in the best of spots, it'll be pretty easy as Willer.
Yeah, he's just going to safeguard his way over. Tempest Cripple comes in as Owner in the area, and Faker just walks it out. Just a command protect required to keep the Orianna alive. As Owner just going to slash him a little bit. Otherwise, not too much is going to happen. So Willa trying to have that early presence that we saw in game number 1. Hasn't found as much joy this time. As, all right, there's the Hex Flash, Headbutt Pulve, but Execute just going to take some fire for his trouble. And now Henna, he's in a lot of it as well. These autos starting to pile up as the Piercing Arrow comes down. That was a lot of blight. And Gumayusi gets his revenge.
And unfortunately for Execute, going in a little bit too aggressive there. Henna able to...
We should make a soundboard
We
of
really should.
unfortunate for execute going in a little bit too hard there.
Yeah, the downside of flashing on level 1 is that if any subsequent play doesn't go the way that you want, you cannot use it. It is on cooldown. We saw that there in the longer trades. Guma and Keria still able to pull out ahead. And that is a very, very big kill because it basically equalizes the bot lane situation. And like last game, even though Guma died early on, he hasn't actually been set pretty substantially behind when it comes to the CS numbers. That's going to remain the case here as Closer is struggling here in the CS department.
Yeah.
A lot of last hits being missed there, but also testament to, again, a Faker's laning phase, which on the Orianna we know is not great to play into.
Yeah, it was no surprise. Let's have a look at this one more time as we see the Hex Flash coming in.
They're full health.
Yeah.
And Henna then trying to trade. The clan's not doing a whole lot, and the Blight stacks plus the proc from Keria enough to get the kill going there. And for T1, early game looking fine, and we are again going to reiterate that after last game, as long as T1 stays with a touching distance of like 2-3k gold, their team fighting is probably going to pull them through.
Yeah, and I also think their composition has a lot more mid-game power this time around as well. We know that the Nocturne, once he hits level 6 alongside this Nico, can really lock people down. And so a lot of the dragons that Fearex were able to pick up in the first game are not going to be as easy to come by here in the second game. I mean, early game also went a whole lot better and things like that, but I think compositionally T1 are much more set up for mid-game fights.
Meaning for Fox, they're going to try and find as many of these early angles as they can. Maybe centered around the reset power of this Kalista, but it's going to also depend on Execute actually having some level of early success in these fights. Maybe isolate a target together with Willer, but the last time was extremely fast Faker.
No, Henna's just going to have to flash. Shockwave comes out. And Faker turns up and says, you guys are not getting any of these minions.
Oh, Keria hits 6 there as well, if I'm not mistaken. And that means, in turn, that they can't move up to the wave. So they're going to lose Flash on Henna, 2 blades, and this entire wave.
And, or like the other option, right, is that the Azir has to come down. And that means that in mid lane, you're also going to lose. So it's just, it's lose-lose no matter what decisions you're going to make. As Closer, he comes back. T1, they know they have vision in the area, so they can continue pushing forward. And without Flash, Henna really feeling like he's not going to be able to stand toe-to-toe. Gumishi has both of his summoners back up again. Keria, very similar story. And Willer is on the top side of the map, so it's going to take a little while before they can mitigate this. And Zeus having a much better time here, as we can see. Up by about 9, as he's just crashing waves into this turret over and over again. Just feels like T1 have certainly tidied up the gameplay here in game number 2 quite a lot. Not as much fast and loose gameplay. And feeling a little bit more methodical. Understandable, I imagine, you know, Coma and Tom having a bit of a conversation afterwards. They're like, come on, guys. Let's just tidy it up.
The players themselves also are going to be aware. Things like Zeus getting solo killed is not something that we generally see.
Is that what coaches say? That it's like, I don't think you should get solo killed again.
Yeah, I don't know if the player themselves knows that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Maybe Zeus is just a big fan of the O2 power spike. You know, he's studied.
Hey, that's true. I mean, there are a lot of Noguri fans here. There are a lot of Noguri fans.
There's one sitting right beside you.
Yeah, well, absolutely. There's one sitting right beside you, too.
Hey!
You know what I'm saying? It goes in a circle. Infinite Noguri fans.
With T1 already building up an early lead, this game is going a lot more according to, I think, what we expected coming in. Not necessarily with this draft, especially a dominating laning phase, but now every single objective setup for Fearex, they don't have prio in either bot or mid lane, so actually setting up objectives by itself is already quite hard. Additionally, if you do get to setups, you need to be very ready to be denied vision by the ultimate from Owner, and then you need to dodge both Shockwave, which could be on top of Owner. Don't forget, that is what combo that we've seen a lot that is really, really impressive. And then also Keria, Because if Keria finds his way into your backline, then it's Pop Blossom into a Faker ultimate.
Yeah, but you need to make sure you know which one's Keria and which one isn't. As there's an all-out special delivery as Willa gets the little mini wall stun, and the execution is there. Gorgeous play from the top jungle here of FearX. And now Faker going to get pushed underneath the turret. There's the Shockwave flash. I just don't know whether it's going to be enough here as the Sand Soldier comes out, and that is actually a 1-for-1. Just absurd.
He gets a 1v1 out of that. Closer. Thought he rounded the court, maybe could have flashed away from the final damage to the ball. There is execute.
There's a flash pulverize. Headbutt back there as well as Pop Blossom grabs 2. And now Henna is the tie. He just pops. Oh, I didn't even think that was necessarily a bad move by Execute, but it just got outplayed.
Really good positioning there from Keria on the Pop Blossom. Henna needs to be in close range to do damage.
And Plate's going to be picked up here as well.
Gumayushi gets the kill. More plates going over to this Varus. Things are looking rough here for FearX. As we take this play, wonderful. Well done. Love these type of K'Sante matchups where he just drags you to Narnia and there's a heavy jungler waiting there. Cleanly played out.
Yeah, it was very nicely done. Had the Q3 ready. And this, I don't think could have been better either. But the way Faker plays it, gets the ulti flash, and then just continues to eke out all of the damage. And it's a Comet hit that does take him down in the end.
That could have been the difference, as this time around, Guma, I think knew that he was going to get engaged on, especially with the flash for himself and for Execute both being available, but doesn't die in the initial blow. And it's something we haven't really talked about yet. We were mainly focused on the combination of Nico with specifically the Nocturne. But I think you can see as well for Kalista, the actual space that you have is really minor. I think hitting a root consistently is really hard for the Nico because of the mobility that Kalista has. But also, if you move up a little bit too far and you get Pop Blossom, either you get out and you're not doing damage.
Oh, nice sidestep there by Execute.
Or you get knocked up and you die. It's not a lot of leeway there.
No.
So in that play.
I think it's the information denial is so incredibly powerful alongside all of these just pretty ridiculous CC layerings in a big AoE. So if it does end up being something that FearX have to deal with, they need to be able to bait out Paranoia. They need to be able to bait out Pop Blossoms, things like this, get fights happening on their own terms so that that cannot line up for T1. Because it's just too strong if it does all just work out. As Willa going to come in, grab himself some grubs. Should be 3 going over to them. They want to stick around.
Might not care. We have Herald spawning in about 45 seconds, so just a no grub game.
Huh. So no mites.
No scrubs.
Yeah.
Like that song?
I'm a big fan. Always TLC. Was a little bit, I felt like that song was basically the same as, what was the really famous Ed Sheeran song? If you listen to a mashup of No Scrubs and, oh, what was it? The one that everyone played all the time. Shape of You. Yeah.
Ah.
Thanks, Jesus.
Yeah, I'm not that big of an Ed Sheeran fan, so my knowledge was...
no, but there is a mashup, and it works way too well. It's actually amazing. So if you want to listen to both of those songs at the same time, if you're an Ed Sheeran and TLC fan, go for it.
Is there a lot of overlap between those two groups?
I guarantee there is. Tweet it.
Dozens!
Tweet it, Chronicler, if you are both an Ed Sheeran and a TLC fan. Ironically or unironically.
Hey, I don't believe in ironically enjoying music. I think you just enjoy it. That's fine. It doesn't need to be ironically. Just enjoy it. It's fine. You can like stuff that isn't highbrow.
Well, I mean, you could just I mean, it depends. You know, it's like if you're the person that wants to do that. I'm just trying to get as many people to tweet at you as possible. That's what I'm going for. T1 going to back away after taking themselves the dragon. FearX are not going to be able to grab anything here. Oh, I felt it. Jonas Strong felt it as well. He's thinking that maybe there was a swoop afoot.
That was teleport invested by Clear and nothing invested from T1. So they are either now going to get a topside turret unanswered. We do see Closer moving over, but still going to be a ton of damage. And these are the type of moments where I think FearX really is struggling. If you commit, you need to know that for a fact you can either get the objective, which in that case wasn't going to ever happen, or you need to commit.
Ooh, flash.
Oh.
Commit flash. Will it? Just commit his. He's just going to grab himself a Rift Herald.
Wow.
And, yeah, Zeus just wanders away. He did Umbrally Dash as Emperor's Divide comes down. Now Execute's going to come in, but Closer might just die. No! It is going to be Execute that helps lock it down with a hoof. As the teleport came in from Faker as well. I think Closer's out of this fight. There he goes. Faker locks down that kill. So 4v4. As Faker's still looking to come around, and Carrier Pop Blossom gets into the backline alongside the Paranoia. Henna's still alive for the moment, but Clear now looking to try and clean this one up. He does go all out, but I don't know what he's going to be able to get done here. Gumushi very, very low, trying to kite it out as best he can, and he does so. Still, Willa gets the double, and now it's Faker and Carrier versus the world. Execute trying to be the bouncer. The Q is going to miss. The snare is going to be there, and Faker, he has no more mana to try and get this one. He's going to have to try and get some auto attack.
Zeus?
Oh, Zeus just turns up, and it is now over unless Faker will be taken down. There's at least one back still. Willa pretty strong. He's not going to win the fight against Zeus, but he takes down Carrier.
Wheeler is trying so hard, man.
Everyone died in that fight. I swear, at least twice.
He's trying so hard, Atlas. He can't do it alone.
Oh, I mean, he did. So I don't know what you're talking about. He did do it alone. Just kind of wish that Zeus didn't teleport back into the fight or something.
Closer did end up dying to Faker. Is he just dead again?
He might be. Let's see how many of these he can dodge.
He's fine.
Just,
yeah, his ultimate almost available as well. I thought he was just going to get taken down. So, when we go way back...
Wave.
We go way back. All starts off with Zeus being... The Flash Force was great. This was definitely overeager. Closer, maybe if he doesn't go for those two autos, might live, but that's still a lot invested, right? Teleport and Flash. Henna stays alive for much longer than I think T1 was initially expecting, which means that Owner actually does get really low. And then we have this combo of Cassante and Lee doing a lot of consistent damage. Guma kiting out for as long as he did, though, I think really ends up being a difference maker. It means that Execute is already quite low. And then here, good sidestep from Faker. The root from Carrier is actually able to hit. And then this fight is so early and has been going on for so long that Zeus does actually find his way back and starts taking people down. Willer, though, able to, with a couple of great ward-offs, actually gets the kill there in the end.
Really sick stuff, and Closer had respawned as well. We could have seen that
just keep going.
Yeah, like all 10 of the players just fully battling it out the entire time. Still absolutely fine. For Fear X, to be perfectly honest,
it's
to have
bad.
something this scrappy this stage of the game. And 5-1-0 is the result for Willa. He's still looking good. And the more and more items the Closer is going to get, the happier he's going to be. But the same can be said for Faker. And as Owner gets more and more tanky, things like this, when that Frozen Heart comes in, imagine, you press your R button on Henna and then the item he hates the most just comes flying at him in form of the Frozen Heart.
With a possible Oriana ultimate attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not great, Atlas.
It's not a whole lot of fun. So it could theoretically get a bit worse from here, especially if T1 starts stacking up these Mountain Drakes.
But their goal is better than last game. I mean, not at this point, but better than after the first big fight we had in the previous one.
Hey, there we go.
That's something. Closer, setting up an elaborate bait.
Indeed. And Execute going to come on over and spot the fake Carrier. Willa here as well. They still have this Rift Herald. Can be utilized in order to get themselves this dragon if they would like to. Does bring it flying forward. And all ultimates up and available here from T1.
Soul Point, that's big. I think Fox is going to really struggle if they're not able to deny the City one, because a lot of their burst is heavily going to be mitigated if they are playing into a couple of Mountain Drakes, let alone a Soul.
Oh, yeah. And Gumushi actually trying to stand his ground here against Henna and Clear in the mid lane. Execute coming on over and will be able to clear out a little bit of this vision. Rift Herald coming on through. It's the set play to make sure you can get as much control of the river as possible. As Gumushi a little bit by himself, but Zeus is going to rotate over. Clear taking some damage, and T1, they've already started off this dragon. And Faker so safe on a control ward here as well. as Ona now doesn't have flash, or at least one charge now missing. As, all right, in goes Carrier. He finds the backline, the shockwave to take down Closer. And they're going to utilize Ona to try and get on top of Henna. He's going to get feared and taken out. And the damage dealers are just dead in the blink of an eye. That's how this composition is supposed to work. And T1, they give up on the Drake. It's time for Baron.
They don't even care about getting an individual Mountain Drake. Run straight to Nash. I don't know if there's a whole lot that can be done by FairX here. Willer is alive. Can the man get a Miracle Steal? Faker standing guard. It is harder to keep this Lee out of the pit, but there's just not enough vision. There's not enough people. And that'll be the end of Baron. The turret is all they're going to get. They might be able to get a single Drake, which...
Oh, there we go.
There's 2 teleports available, though. I don't even know if T1 is going to let them have this. It looks like instead they're just going to go for the turret, say that we don't care too much.
Yeah, and Faker actually elected to stop the back, wanted to take down the turret first, so I think they are going to give this one up and then utilize this Baron to get a whole bunch more money and delay the Drake takers. This Pop Blossom, absolutely gorgeous. In live stuff is happening, but not all that important.
I want to highlight here as well, and this is something that is really easy to miss when you're looking at this from a spectator's point of view. If Clear and Wheeler actually had vision, I think they might have tried to contest the fight more. Because Guma was actually almost down. I don't know how much he could have reliably done, and they did still have a couple of big cooldowns available. But because of the nature of Paranoia, they're like, we have to run out. Like, there's just no way. We don't know where to go. And it makes a teamfight that was already won even more one-sided.
And it also really, nice sidestep by Clear as Pop Blossom is going to catch the Cassante, and no one is tanky enough to withstand that. It is a lot of investment for just a kill onto the top laner, but this is making sure that this Baron is going to be utilized to perfect effect. Henna is tidying up a wave on the top side of the map, and that means that it should mean they can go for a fight down here. There's the Paranoia Shockwave! As the Fear is going to go off against Closer. He's not dead just yet, though, as Execute getting fairly close. There is no more minion wave, and Henna is just continuing to clear out these minions. So, not too bad on the defense here on the side of FearX, but it is still a 3.6 thousand gold Red Bull Baron power play.
And more importantly, they might not get the turret initially, but they do on the follow-up. Right now, FairX seeing their opportunity to extend this series slipping away from them. Gonna need an insane Hail Mary.
All right, there's the kick flash onto Faker. They managed to get the pulverize as well. Fate's call to come through. Knockups are bound. Faker surviving for a very long time, but eventually will be taken out. And now it's Gumayushi's turn. He's trying to kite it as best he can. Closer almost dies. As Carrier, he's a caster minion. And he's just going to wander his way out. Zeus grabs himself 700 gold by taking down this inner turret. T1, they lose their 2 biggest damage dealers outside of Zeus.
You don't have Baron buff.
Well, Carrier is just... he's pretending. And Henna is not going to buy it. But there is an Aatrox, and now there's a very dead Kalista. Zeus, that's a lot of items you have there, sir. Okay, well now he's going to get chased down by Clear. Paranoia comes out though, and they're going to dive on top of this Cassante. Pop Blossom onto 3 once again. Not a lot of follow-up, but he buys the space required to get Zeus out and Ona. Willer in a bit of trouble here as well, and man, Carrier is playing his heart out today. It would have been really cool if they had those 2 players that did consistent damage though. That fight.
Can't have those. It's too much.
Still, that was an amazing Pop Blossom.
Willer is trying so hard. Atlas, he is really giving it his all. Finds a great kick onto Faker, and then the follow-up here with Execute, getting Fate's Call into both Guma and Faker. Ends up being a really big win here. Aatrox wasn't there. I don't know what the timing exactly was, but I think that Zeus teleported as that was happening towards the top side of the map. So still, it was gold positive because, of course, this is the type of game that we're dealing with because they got an inner and they also had this follow-up play. And here you see again how aggressive this Nocturne is to play into. Funnily enough, Carrier doesn't actually do that much damage because
No.
he's support.
But he just stops them from killing
Exactly.
Zeus.
Yeah. So it's still plenty of value. Went for Shirelli as second as well. And of course, there's a little bit of AP on that item, but we've been so used to seeing the
Yeah.
Nico mid.
As he's going to find 3 again! And another paranoia comes down. Henna in a bit of trouble. He should get oh, well, actually surviving for a very long time. Carrier trying to limp his way out. Ona going to be able to get a drive-by onto the Callista. And he's also very tanky.
Doesn't die!
Yeah, and there's just no way for Closer to be able to get in there and do damage. As now Carrier going to put a couple of versions of Faker around the map. Oh, wow. I just realized how overpowered it is to transform into Faker and make it so that there's 3 Fakers. It's 3 global taunts.
That's too many.
That is way too many.
Can't do that, Atlas. Just like I know Valdez is a big fan of this build. It's not okay. It's if you're an AD carry and you see this, you're like, no. Just the Nocturne alone is enough to make you wins, but then add Orianna on top of it.
Were we talking about this yesterday? I think we were.
We were.
Yeah, you just buy the Hexplate, and then you go for the Frozen Heart and the good
Wait,
item.
Carrier did the most damage in the game. What?
Okay. Well, I guess that's what happens when you land amazing Pop Blossoms. It might be slightly changed now after Zeus does all of Closer's health bar.
I was talking about how he doesn't do much damage. Okay, never mind. I take it back.
It didn't look like he did that, but he's been hitting people a lot all game long, and that adds up.
I don't think this is the game where
He has
T1...
an elixir of iron.
I don't think this is the game where T1 is no longer getting away with it. I think this is yet another one.
I
where
actually
they
think they may have reinvented the meta. I don't even think it's a getting away with anything. I think we're just having a glance into the future. T1, they're the knowers. We're the learners right now.
We're starting to realize
Exactly.
just what is possible with support.
파란 팀의 억제기가
Solo queue had it right all along.
Exactly. All of those Xeraths that were telling you that they're relevant.
They are. Okay, execute. This is your moment.
Well, Carrier can be a ward. Chains of Corruption do go white, though. There's the Paranoia and Execute. No one's there for the rest of his team. Another Pop Blossom hits absolutely everyone. And the Shockwave, Zeus just pressing all of his buttons. And this is going to be the end of this game. Closer is going to have to flash away, but the only upside is that he can maybe have a rest on his fountain, and even then, that is not going to be allowed. There are a couple of Nexus turrets that are proving to be a little bit frustrating, but Faker's going to be able to collect that kill. And Carrier is going to take a well-deserved rest, as T1 will say goodnight to this game. I tell you what, though, POGs are sometimes difficult. This time, it isn't, you know?
No.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's been there for a while. I was the paper. Don't you worry. Up until the mid game, I was like, yeah, Owner